Whatever your reason for podcasting or wanting to podcast might be, if you haven't heard about Anchor yet, you need to. Because it's practically a one-stop shop for all your podcasting needs. And whether from your phone or your computer, it'll absolutely up your podcasting game. And it'll help your listeners up their game as well, by giving them the chance to be heard, by leaving voice messages for you to be able to include in the future episodes. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm today to get started. And if you already have a show, stop dropping loads of cash on hosting fees and start making money with Anchor's sponsorship program. So you can take something that you love to do anyway and start making a living with it. And while you're saving that cash and stuffing that money back in your pocket, save some time as well by taking total advantage of the full Anchor experience. Because on top of it all, they'll even distribute the show for you. And that may sound like a small thing, but you simply cannot get the time or energy back that it takes to repeatedly submit your RSS feed to the far reaches of the internet. So switch over or sign up today, and your show will be up on many of today's podcast platforms in what will seem like no time at all. And speaking of time, it's time to get the fun started. So away we go.
Looking to expand your playlist? Well, Fat Lowell's Radio has got you covered. Lose your religion with Reverend Jess and Deacon Sam over on The Church Absurd. Hear nerd culture get dissected on The Fickle Fanboy with RPM. Get drunk at the round table with the designated drinkers. Hear solid and interesting interviews on Unseriously Serious. Do you want to get involved? Send your rant over to the League of Infuriated Nerds. Also, check out the Fat Lowell's Radio Associated shows. Get your not safe for work talk radio fix on The Rob and Slim Show. Get some life advice from Jerry and Cal on From the Bottom. All of these shows and more await you at Fat Lowell's Radio. You can find us on SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, and various podcast apps, as well as our website, fatlowellsradio.us. HTTP, not HTTPS. We hope you enjoy the smorgasbord of shows we have prepared for you. Fat Lowell's Radio, stuffed full of entertainment.
You're listening to The Fickle Fanboy, brought to you by Fat Lowell's Radio.
I have returned! You say I'm insane? I say thank you very much! Finish him!
And it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it! Now what do you think?
I'm gonna tell you with a tear in my eye!
I'm gonna kick your ass.
You don't never go in against a Sicilian when Jess is on the line!
Same old shit, just a new day. Same old show, just a new spit shine. But this is the Fickle Fanboy. Make no mistake about it. And I am RPM. So if you don't know, now you know. And if you didn't know, your ass better call somebody. 'Cause I am old school with a new twist. And I still love to rock and I still love to roll. And believe me, motherfucker, I will make you lose all self-control. By which I mean, welcome. How are you doing? Anything new? I mean, it has been a while, so what's up? Nothing? Good. I didn't care anyway. So, Because I didn't, let's just go ahead and get right to it. 'Cause today, it's go time once again. You know, this can be a crazy fucking world. But as crazy as it is, and as hard as it can be to be able to tell the crazy fake news bullshit from the real world crazy bullshit, as hard as it can be to do that, and as crazy as our world is, it doesn't even hold a candle to the world of professional wrestling. 'Cause this world may be crazy, but that world is knuckin' fuds. And to prove my point, I thought it would be fun to take a look back and just take a moment, chill, and take a look at some of the most unbelievably nutty nutbar rumors and myths that surround this just as unbelievably crazy world of what they now call sports entertainment. But fuck you, it's pro wrestling. It's been pro wrestling for most of my life, and I ain't gonna fucking change that shit now. 'Cause in a world that consists of beasts, demons, phenoms, clowns, garbage men, the occasional gobbledygooker, and even a wannabe porn star from time to time, is it really any damn surprise that such an insanely crazy world could ever birth some of the craziest damned stories that ever were? I mean, it doesn't seem far-fetched to me. I don't know why the fuck it should seem just absolutely out of the blue to you. But today, we won't be looking at those rumors and myths that are more well-known and widespread. No. Oh, no. Today, we're just gonna narrow our focus to those wrestling myths that you may never have heard of until today, but now that you have heard them, not only do you really wish that they were true, but frankly, because you've heard them now, you're a better human being for it. So, let's get down to it. Shall we? Where to start? First off, we should go ahead and introduce my, I guess you could call him my special guest referee for today. 'Cause straight from the Church Absurd, here's Reverend Jess. How you doing, Jess?
I'm fantastic. I'd like to be referred to as the artist formerly known as Jackknife Jess.
All right, artist formerly known as Jackknife Jess it is. Fuck, that's a mouthful.
Thank you.
Don't think me till this is over.
I mean, I didn't work this hard. You know what I mean? To not be formally acknowledged as an artist.
Well, you know, I mean, I do what I can. I really do. I don't do it very often, and when I do, I kind of mail it in. But you know, it is what it is.
Hey, you know, you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah.
But, first off, before we get to why we're here today, I think that it's only right that we take a moment and just observe a moment of silence for all the people that we've lost since the last time that I threw out a episode last year. There's a handful of them. You got Gene Okerlund, you got Stan Lee.
Also, Robbie Rotten from.
Robbie Rotten.
Yeah, and then Steven Hillenburg from the creator of SpongeBob.
Oh, how could I forget him? Oh, well, pretty easily. But anyway, let's go ahead and observe a quick moment of silence for them. All right, that's enough.
No, we didn't say a minute; we said a moment. So, that should be good enough.
Yeah, if it's not good enough for someone, fuck them.
Hey, we gave him just about as far as Steven Hillenburg goes, we gave him just about as much as Maroon 5 gave him at the Super Bowl. So,
oh God, that was a fucking horrible game.
Yeah.
Then again, I'd say that about any game that the New England Patriots win. So,
exactly,
it is what it is. But the reason we're here today is because I thought it'd be fun right off the bat to just kind of glide into the season with something fun. And you little bastard, brought my attention to a list that had been making its way throughout the internet for quite some time, actually.
Yeah, I just want to preface this. And when we say we want to do something a little fun, trust me, it's going to be fun. In fact, I want everybody listening right now to get excited. In fact, if you're a big fat man, I want you to slap your titties against your belly. Okay? And if you're if you're a sexy woman, I want you to slap your titties against your belly, because it is literally, this right here is an infamous list. It is and that's the thing. It's been going around so long that it is on an Angel Fire page, which, that right there should tell you just how long it's been since this list has been up. It's literally it was the next phase after GeoCities.
Oh God, I feel old now that you mentioned GeoCities, because oh fuck.
Because don't you still have a membership to it?
It expired about 2 months ago. I was thinking about renewing up until you said that. But this list is it's myths and legends of wrestling that, let's face it, no one really knew. Well, most of them no one really knew. But
what the best way I would describe it is, I would say that it is essentially a collection of everything you would hear from like locker room gossip. And basically it's just been compiled from just years and years of just dirt sheets and forums and stuff like that, of just people talking about their various encounters or stuff that they've heard. And it's all collected in one magnificent list. And this is a long list too. It's well into the triple digits.
This fucker took me at least a day and a half to go through. It's glorious. It really is.
Yeah, there's no words. There's literally, and this isn't just indie stuff. I'm talking, this is WWE, this is WCW, this is CZW, it's TNA, it's
NWA,
ECW, yeah, NWA, not the rap group, no. The wrestling organization. But literally, the names, like, as you scroll down the names, not only do you see stuff like Vince McMahon, but you see stuff like Tommy Dreamer, Paul Heyman, Davey Boy Smith, of course, Dynamite Kid, Raven, all Harley Race, literally. It's an absolutely insane list here. And it's a little piece of magic that has just sat in the darkest rectum of the internet for the longest time. And it's something that I think literally every wrestling fan should see, but only few could handle it. I think it would be the best way to put it.
Wrecked them, damn near killed them.
Exactly.
But I think that what we're going to do today could be best classified as far as that list goes. You said that many of the items were extreme, a little crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not safe for work.
Hell no.
Yeah, to put it lightly.
But what we're going to do is we're going to look at the funnest items on the list, at least in my opinion. And many of them, they're so outrageous that I just want to revisit them and talk a little bit about exactly whether or not either of us, believe them and why not.
And that's the thing. You may think that like all of this shit just sounds unbelievable. There's a lot of stuff that carries some merit. If any of you beautiful bastards who listen to this show have the WWE Network and watch Legends House, it's very, very obvious that Tony Atlas has a foot fetish. He gets obsessive over smelling women's shoes and stuff like that. And there's stuff about foot fetishes in this, and it's not unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like a foot fetish is pretty common. I mean, that's why Quentin Tarantino always has a shot of a woman's feet in his movies. So literally, like when other wrestlers get accused of having a foot fetish, it just kind of makes sense, You
called them beautiful bastards. I just want to go back up a little bit just for a hot second. You told all the beautiful women out there to slap their titties against their belly. And I just want to alter that a little bit. If there are any beautiful women out there, slap your titties against their faces. I mean,
Yeah, I'd like to second that motion, and if we could, put it to the council, I think that motion will pass. Yeah, I'm
literally the council, so at least on this show anyway.
I am the council.
I mean, I'll put it to you this way, just to like set the mood of like what type of content we're looking at here. Like this is, and granted, we want to acknowledge that a lot of this sounds like hearsay or just clearly gossip, but at the same time, there's a lot more to these people than what happens when the cameras are on. You know what I mean? Like it literally is it seems like we are in the X-Files when it comes to this stuff, because it's so crazy it might be true. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and can I just say that
I am the council.
You sounded a little like Lonnie. And if my listeners aren't familiar with Lonnie, you have to listen to the Church Absurd.
Yeah, Lonnie's a good guy. He's out there hunting Bigfoot. If you want to listen to the sad state of affairs of Lonnie, check out my show, Church Absurd, which the Fickle Fanboy here has been a guest on a couple times.
Yeah, and try as I might, I haven't fucked that show up enough. But there's still time.
Give it time.
Yeah, I'll bring it down eventually. But first on the list was we'll start them off with a tame one.
Okay.
There's one about Bruiser Brody, and apparently, Iron Sheik may have been paid, or at least been offered the money to humble Hogan and break his knees.
Exactly.
And rape him in the ass. But
twice.
So good he had to go back for more. But Bruiser Brody,
I believe he was quoted as saying it tasted like hot dogs.
Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. But anyway, but Bruiser Brody, before Iron Sheik was ever offered to humble Hogan, Bruiser Brody was actually, allegedly, I'll say that, all these are alleged, but he was supposedly offered money, and he may or may not have made off with the money, but this money was offered to him to do a run-in during the very first Mania during the main event.
Yeah, I believe it.
I believe it just because of one small thing. And it has nothing to do with the people or the myth. It more has to do with how this got out there. You said yourself, a lot of these probably seem to have started in the back. with the boys.
Yeah, like literally when if by some miracle you're able to find this list, because like I said, you gotta search for it. It is very clear from what you're reading that it very much sounds like, you know, two wrestlers like, hey, this is what I heard, and then it just ends up getting passed around to the point where, you know, even just like a guy who's on to be a PA for the night or something like that could hear it and, you know, all of a sudden start, you know, going to the dirt sheets with it. It's just, it literally, it carries that type of weight just from the ridiculousness of the stories. And like, you know, some of them, I mean, you know, there's always a lot of the stuff in here is like, you know, when it comes to like a more tame thing, like, oh, Bruiser Brody just making off with some cash and not doing a run in, even though the idea was to have him do a run in, you know, stuff like that. You're just like, yeah, I buy it. You know what I mean? Like you always hear stories of like, and I mean, even in Cleveland, absolute intense wrestling, they got gypped by Sid Vicious. Like he took like 20 grand from them, I guess, and literally just didn't show up. Like they paid the deposit and he just didn't show up.
And if you ask me, and this is another reason why I fully believe this, whoever was talking about this in the back has to, at least on some level, know Bruiser Brody.
For sure.
And on some level, he has to believe that Bruiser Brody is, in any way, shape, or form, the kind of guy who would take dirty money to do extremely dirty shit.
Yeah. Well, it's like, okay, so I'm looking at the list here, and, you know, to bring it back to what we were saying about literally someone walking out with money. Here's one, item 421. Steve Corino walked out on a booking after seeing the ring because he felt the mat was too dirty for him.
Wait.
Like literally, that's item 421, which, and I'll put it to you this way, like, I'm not even at the end of the page yet, and we're at item 421, but, literally, like, right there, like, I believe that, for sure.
I believe it just because of the fact that it's Steve Corino, and judging from the conditions that he's been known to wrestle in, because of, well, let's face it, he wrestled in ECW at their lowest point. And so,
yeah, exactly. I mean, like, and like that's the thing. Because of that, you know, I mean, it's realistically, he probably thought he was hot shit because ECW was hot shit even up to its dying days. You know what I mean? Like it was still hot shit. So realistically, he probably thought, I'm too famous to be here. Fuck that mat. Which is ironic because ECW was in a goddamn bingo hall.
Yeah, and see, that's what I was alluding to, is the fact that he used to wrestle in bingo halls, and so
yeah, a bingo hall where the bathrooms didn't work.
So to say that he looked at a ring and said, "Ah, that's a piece of shit," and just walked out, it had to have been horrible.
No, it was probably just some juggalos who were doing a backyard wrestling kick, and it was literally just like 4 railroad spikes and a garden hose around it.
Actually, later on in the season, you know, I do this thing on here called the Best of the Worst of Wrestling. And technically, you could kind of consider this episode part of that segment. However,
I think this episode is going to be its own, like, just crazy experiment because, like, literally, like, this is not even the best of the worst. This is just, you know, shit you wouldn't believe. You know what I mean? Like, I'll put it to you this way. I could have gone the rest of my life without knowing that Jake the Snake Roberts supposedly carried a big pink dildo in his bag everywhere.
Yeah, I made 35 years of life without knowing that, and yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now you get to live with it too, and every single one of your listeners gets to live with it too. Jake the Snake Roberts, pink dildo, and a big one too. Well, I don't know if we're talking like American Challenge here, like a 36-inch, but it was apparently pretty big.
I mean, and again, these are supposedly true, but let's face it. I mean, if it had been purple, it wouldn't have surprised me either. So, I mean, you know,
Right.
And it could have been polka dotted for all we know. So, I mean, we can't allege that, you know.
It would have been horrifying if it was snakeskin.
But, you know, I mean, it's just weird to know that Bruiser Brody the idea was even bantered about for him to make a run in and drop Hogan, Piper, Mr. T, and for all we know, Mr. T's mama right on their heads.
Well, I'll put it to you this way, man. It's the reason it holds merit is because the WWE, at this time WWF, of course, has come up with some ridiculous shit in the past. Okay, you want to know? I mean, literally the first role that Mark Calloway, who went on to become the Undertaker, was supposed to be was the gobbledygooker.
Oh God, I hadn't heard that one, and
like literally that was on the table when they offered him a contract. They were like, "Well, we have some character ideas. One of them is you play this amazing dead man who can bring shit back to life and shoot lightning out of his hands, or two, you play a giant turkey that's going to be a runoff joke for like one Royal Rumble." You know what I mean? Like,
and instead, one of the Guerreros got stuck with that son of a bitch. So lucky him.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
You know, it is intriguing to think about the fact that if he had taken the money and done this, we technically could have, at least feasibly, been looking at getting something like the Attitude Era. You know, we could have been getting something so extreme at the first WrestleMania that it could have set off what would have passed as the Attitude Era in the late or early 80s, I guess it would be at this point. But if you look at the early 80s, as opposed to when we did get the Attitude Era in the late to mid 90s, it was two totally different times, two totally different worlds. What would have the Attitude Era looked like in the early 80s? I mean...
Well, I mean, look at it this way. It wouldn't have gone anywhere because realistically, look at where you're at in the 80s, okay? In the 80s, the PMRC, Tipper Gore, was like, going nuts over like explicit lyrics or, suggestive lyrics in music. Can you imagine if anything like the Attitude Era were to have taken place while Tipper Gore was on her crusade to censor shit? Like, we wouldn't have gotten the Attitude Era. It would have been started and then they would have been fined. I mean, it was the same thing with what Howard Stern was doing at the time on the radio. You know what I mean? Howard Stern was getting FCC fines like every week. So realistically, the only reason that the Attitude Era worked is because it was in the 90s. Literally, because it was in the 90s, it was after Nirvana and everything like that, where people were taking more of a gritty approach, an edgier approach. That's why, stuff like The Crow was popular and stuff like that. And that's why Sting, took the Crow gimmick. It's because of that's how the 90s was. It was, dark. It was, more edgy and everything like that. But the 80s, man, like literally Motley Crue came under attack. Twisted Sister got put under attack for a song that was about throat surgery because Tipper Gore thought it was about BDSM.
Oh.
Right? So imagine how they would have reacted to like Val Venus. And, when his whole thing with Funaki and, all them or Kai and Tai happened and like we choppa yo pee pee, you think that would have flown in the 80s? No, dude.
Hell no. And without the Attitude Era, I would just like to say, we would have gotten the Fatitude Era. So, I mean, there's that as well. Shout out to the Fatitude Era.
Rest in peace, you beautiful bastard.
When you guys came out with Heil Hogan, that I could have listened to that over and over and over forever, and then
hey, get it right. It was Heil Hulkster. Heil Hulkster. We didn't want people to think we were talking about Paul Hogan.
Well, yeah, good point.
So we thought we'd make it really obvious and say Heil Hulkster. But yeah, like literally, like it does make like that to me, that story 100% makes sense. That Bruiser Brody would flake out on that and take the money and run because like number one, You still see it to this day of wrestlers no showing shit or backing out and just taking the money and bailing and shit
absolutely.
like that. You know what I mean? And on top of that, with the 80s being the way it is and the WWE not being as nearly as prominent and established, you know what I mean? Like literally we're at a point right now where the WWE is a mainstay. It's a publicly traded company, not to mention that it has been a staple of Monday night television. You know what I mean? On the level of Monday Night Football.
Since what, like 93, 94?
Exactly. Literally every single, like it's referenced in constant culture, whether it be, you know, like even just small throwaway jokes. I was watching Ash versus Evil Dead the other day, and literally the dude was like, "Oh, want to get some taquitos and watch Monday Night Raw?" You know what I mean? Like in Ash versus Evil Dead, where there's no other reference to wrestling.
Yeah, I can't believe that show got canceled, but you know that's a whole nother episode for a whole nother day.
Art imitates life, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Art imitates life, because Ash in the entire Evil Dead story, Ash always gets the short end of the stick, right? Art imitates life. That's all I'll say about it.
You know, and you name dropped. This was a few minutes ago. You mentioned Sid Vicious or Sid Justice or Psycho Sid or whatever the hell you want to call him at this point. But there was one about the fact that apparently he had a pet squirrel at some point, which just kind of...
Yes, I have it pulled up here. Do you want me to read it?
Absolutely.
Item 174. Sid Vicious used to take a squirrel with him everywhere he went for some stupid reason. And one day, a couple of the wrestlers bet him that he couldn't keep the squirrel down his pants for a minute. He accepted, and after about 30 seconds, the squirrel bit him on the dick, and Sid dropped on the floor in pain, crushing the squirrel in the process. He had to get rabies shots and stitches on his dick. He literally got a fucking he got a nibble job from a fucking squirrel, man. But you know what they say, man, a squirrel's always looking for nuts. So
and apparently in this moment he found them.
Exactly. He's like what's his face? Scrat from Ice Age.
You know, I can just see Sid though sitting around with a squirrel like Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
Can I pet the squirrel, George?
And we'll pet him and huff him and hug him, and then the damn thing bites him on the nuts, and he just falls flatter than Owen Hart. You know, maybe we should just skip to the next one.
Yeah, if you want to hear the ending of that joke, listen to episode 14 of the Fatitude Era.
Oh, fuck. You know, that was...
He almost fell flatter than Trish Stratus's chest after she got the implants taken out.
Ooh. And we have a winner.
Thank you.
Anyway, moving on.
All right, moving on. I want to bring this one up, okay? Item 81, because you mentioned the Iron Sheik, so this is related. Apparently, the Iron Sheik used to do headstands while snorting coke.
Just knowing his history with said drug, I completely believe that.
Yeah, that right there, that's just believable from the fucking get-go.
The only way that could possibly have been denounced is if...
Dude, I mean, he doesn't even run his own goddamn Twitter.
Which, if you look at some of his tweets, it's not surprising, and yet it is at the same time. Not only is it surprising, it's a little depressing, considering, you know, you would think that autocorrect would catch some of that shit. But...
Right? Well, it's literally like, it's just his marketing team that puts that shit up there. Like, he doesn't even... He flat out said in an interview, like, I don't work my phone. I don't do that. Like,
but he's probably too high, but, you know, whatever.
Well, no, if anything, I'm misquoting him here. I think his word was, I know you's fucking phone!
Oh, fuck. Oh, goddamn. You know, I almost wish that it had been him now that you say that, and, you know, then I also, in the same breath, think, Iron Sheik has a fucking social media team?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're able to hire someone to run your own fucking Twitter, you've officially got too much money.
I agree. But that's the thing. Someone needs to break his back, make him humble.
Oh, yeah. Gotta get the phlegm in the back of your throat.
Yeah, okay. Can we talk about the constant trend of wrestlers trashing hotel rooms here?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Because the one that really stands out to me, right? And I think it's I think there's more to this story than just what's on the paper here. Is item 149, which is Andre the Giant had a habit of shitting in hotel bathtubs.
Okay.
Here's the thing, okay? Number one, I fully believe it, and I don't think it was a habit. I think it was a necessity, and I'll tell you why. He was a big fucking guy, all right? Literally, the standard hotel room toilet is probably not going to be able to, like, hold him where he can shit comfortably. You know what I mean? So realistically, it was probably a necessity, and he was just like, they can deal with it. They're getting paid. I don't care.
You know, I believe it just because of the fact that, I mean, I'm nowhere near as big as Andre, and my fat ass damn near envelops the damn toilet.
Exactly, man. You do like when you're fat, okay? If you're listening to this and you're not fat, you don't understand, but your ass basically makes a hermetic seal around the bowl.
You sit down and you're
exactly. It's just a vacuum packing. But literally it's literally a hermetic seal around the bowl, and it's that's just someone. I'm speaking from someone who's 280 some pounds and 6'2". So imagine being 7 foot and 500 some pounds. Like I'm surprised the whole toilet didn't just go straight up his ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just it's amazing to me that didn't happen. Like, could someone help me?
When you're that big, every toilet is basically an enema at that point.
Oh yeah.
So, as far as him shitting in hotel bathtubs, I believe it. At least he didn't shit in the ice machine.
Although I have heard, in fact, it's on this list, that at least some of the wrestlers from ECW made a habit of pissing in the ice machine. But, as far as Andre goes, I think that as long as he sat on the crapper and when he stood up, he didn't hear, he was lucky.
Right. Well, I'll put it to you this way, man. As far as the ECW guys go, they probably, because like I said, the bingo hall didn't have working bathrooms, right? So they probably were just so used to pissing in a bucket that they saw the ice machine. They're just like, this is the biggest bucket. Like 3 of us can piss at the same time.
They were probably, like you said, so strapped that they were like,
there's 5 of us in this one hotel room, 1 shitter. What are the other 4 going to do?
Right. Well, not only that, but like, okay, so apparently the ECW guys, all right, and this, that's one thing I want to bring up is a lot of this stuff, a lot of the more crazier shit has to do with, ECW guys, because like, there's a reason that ECW guys weren't really welcome at WWE. As much as I fucking love ECW, I will be the first to admit that some of those people, you understand why they weren't in WWE. Like, that's just a fact. But, like, okay, so apparently, item 117. At a hotel with Sandman once, he went out on the balcony, dropped his pants, and yelled, "Too Cold Scorpio ain't got shit on me." So basically, he was, I guarantee he was shit-faced because it was the Sandman, man. He was literally drinking whenever he wanted.
He's the only one that I've known, other than Stone Cold, to drink either on the way to, the way back from, or in the ring.
Right? And then, like, you look at it this way, right? He was so plastered that he decided to go out on the balcony of a hotel and pull out his second cane and just shout out to Too Cold Scorpio. Now, I don't know when this supposedly happened. It might have been after Too Cold Scorpio, got called up to be talent on WWE. I don't know. But all I can say is, as far as with the amount that he drinks, yeah, that makes sense. And that's the thing. Another thing from ECW here, it says at least 4 people. This is item 87. At least 4 people in ECW killed someone. That right there, I'll 100% believe. New Jack alone right there makes me believe it. It says 4 people, so they could be I mean, we don't know, man. Maybe fucking Bill Alfonso is just going around murdering motherfuckers.
Joey Styles comes into the room. Oh my God!
Right. I believe it. That would have been a more interesting beginning to, Barely Legal. When he's just like, you got the Barely Legal t-shirt, you bought the Barely Legal pay-per-view, and now I'm gonna fucking kill this bitch on live pay-per-view!
And of course, the only applicable main event that could ever have main evented that pay-per-view has to be Benoit against anybody. The Benoit family feud. There we go.
I know another one that stands out to me is the Rottens apparently stole from the ECW locker room.
What the fuck was there to steal?
The piss bucket. That's why they peed in the ice machine.
As far as who the 4 were, who do you think, that there had to have been 4 different people that they knew them to be the kind of people that it wouldn't have surprised anybody had they killed somebody.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if maybe somebody in, Raven's flock.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Maybe that, fuck, man, I don't think it was, main guys, you know what I mean? Because I'm willing to bet that, I highly doubt Shane Douglas has killed somebody.
Shane, Cactus Jack, there's just a few that I don't see.
Dude, if Mick Foley had killed somebody, I would lose faith in everything. I literally would not want to continue living on this earth, because that is a motherfucker that just seems so genuine and such a giving human being that there's no way in hell I wouldn't even see him harming a fucking fly. You know what I mean?
Genuine, kind, soft-spoken. I mean, he just does not seem like the kind of person.
Yeah.
I literally cannot see Cactus Jack holding a knife over somebody going, "Have a nice day, you bastard."
Right. Say hello to my little friend, bang bang.
Exactly. I just don't see it. I don't see it. What I do see though is this next one.
Okay.
Which is Virgil and how he got his start in the WWE. Let's see here. Yeah.
Oh, you mean by showing his manservant to Pat Patterson?
Okay. The way it goes is apparently he just walked in and unleashed the dragon right on Pat Patterson's desk.
Which is funny because Ricky Steamboat was not in the room,
But it's just, I don't know if I believe it. Well, but then again, I'm almost forced to believe it in a way because, okay, there were only 2 fucking people in the goddamn room, supposedly.
Yeah.
So.
But then again, anything could have happened in that room. You know what I mean? Who knows? Maybe Pat Patterson showed Virgil his hog. You never know.
If there were only 2 people in the room, which one of them was the one to start the rumor?
I don't know. Maybe Virgil was show it off or something like that. And he's just like, yeah, man, it doesn't matter how good I can wrestle. All I had to do was show Pat Patterson my dick, and boom, I'm in the fucking business.
I've seen some shoot interviews with various wrestlers. Apparently, this thing is massive, and you don't want to stand too close to him in the shower, because if you did, it'd fucking hit you.
Oh, I'm sure Pat Patterson saw a couple shootings, but I guarantee it wasn't an interview. I guarantee it was something else that was shooting. Probably a massive manservant load.
Showing him his old face. Oh.
Showing him his NWO face.
Oh.
And who was there to help Patterson out? The Job Squad. That's not on the list. I'm just making a clever joke.
I don't know if I'd call it clever. But moving on.
Moving on. Let's go from just showing your dick to a man to manhandling a man. According to a referee, this is item 62, who was released from the WWF, Bradshaw apparently tied up a wrestler in the shower while he was naked and rubbed baby oil all over him, threatening to rape him until he cried, while the locker room looked on and laughed. I think the victim might have date raped a girl or may have just not been well liked. It was never specified who the victim was other than this happened in like 98 or 99, and the guy was a fairly well-known wrestler. I also heard that it might have been Brian Christopher, a.k.a. Grandmaster Sexay.
You know...
I just want to give a shout out real quick to the dumbest fucking name in wrestling.
But because of what we know now about just how big a dick JBL supposedly can be, I can see that coming.
Oh, I buy it. I buy it for sure. And not to mention that, like, there's well documented reports of him just bullying people, right? And, you know, like a couple people have said that they call, you know, he's called people faggot and stuff like that. And the one thing that I've learned is the people who are most homophobic usually end up toe tapping in a men's room. Look at most Republican, you know, politicians. But literally, like, that's the way I look at it, where it's just like someone who is so homophobic usually ends up being, you know, a little gay themselves. So basically, you know, it's self-hatred. So on that note alone, I buy it. I buy it for sure.
You know, it's really, it's almost sad to me how long, at least seemingly, that JBL got away with a lot of this shit. I mean, I know it was a different time. There was, you know, ribs and, you know, just all sorts of other shit going on.
Hazing is one thing. Nearly giving a concussion to the Blue Meanie at ECW One Night Stand is a whole other thing.
I look at it and I just, you know, now because of everything I know, I look at JBL and the only thing I can think is, God, what a dick.
Yeah. So, moving on, I want to cover this one. Item 167, okay? Arn Anderson passed out in a bar in Georgia around 1995. He was in a circular booth with a beer in his hand when he passed out. The funny thing is that even passed out, he held the beer in his hand, only slightly tilted, never allowing a drop to hit the floor. When security came to take him outside, they woke him up, and he pissed all over himself before calling them cocksuckers.
Okay. I believe it.
I buy it. Yeah, I buy it 100%.
You said, what, 95? Okay, well...
Yeah, 95.
I mean, just going off of what we know... I mean, think about if you've ever watched on the network or when it was going down, WCW programming, there's the infamous promo that the NWO did where they spoofed the Horsemen.
Yeah, they made fun of him. They're like, not a liver spot, but my spot.
Kevin Nash did a spot on, no pun intended, well, okay, pun intended.
A liver spot on.
Exactly. But he did a spot on impression of Arn Anderson. Now, the story goes in this particular moment that Arn Anderson was either pissed off when he got backstage or he was pissed off later on after talking to his wife, depending on who you talk to. But the cooler that Kevin Nash is carrying throughout the whole damn thing was, at least if you listen to him, that was Arn Anderson's cooler.
Yeah.
So I mean, he had a cooler full of beer literally wherever he went. So to think that he was the kind of guy who may have had one too many and passed out with a beer in hand, totally believable.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Let's move on to your next item that you'd like to cover.
All right, let's...
Because I just did two in a row, so it's a little unfair.
Oh, no problem, because actually the Bradshaw one was on my list as well.
Well, you're welcome.
What about some of the fucking stories that you hear about just how tough Haku is? I mean, that man is...
Yeah. Of all the people, too.
Yeah. That man is either stupid tough or stupid crazy.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'm a bitch for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But
absolutely, so am I.
But you know, you get enough fucking booze in me, I might try to start a fight. But Never with Haku. Fuck that shit.
No, I mean, there's the story of, and I've heard multiple versions of the story, but there's the story about how he either gouged a wrestler's eye out, or he, ripped off an ear, or he did some kind of permanent bodily harm to a fellow wrestler. And depending on the version that you hear, it either happened in a bar or just outside a bar where this dude was being a complete ass to someone, I think in Puerto Rico, just on the street. And, I've heard that it was just a bar, but I cannot confirm or deny that. So,
Well, I mean, truth be told, we can't confirm or deny any of this.
Yeah, well, that's true. Point taken.
I mean, this is all, like I said at the beginning of this episode, this is all hearsay that just happens to make sense.
To be fair, a lot of my show is just hearsay. And
yeah, you got a point there.
But, the stories just go on and on. I mean, there's stories of him taking on one or several people at a time in a bar. There's a story about him at one point or another, I can't remember what the context was, but of Haku throwing a guy out of the second story window at that, of some bar or club. There's getting tased, and that just making him angry. I mean, it's kind of like the Blazing Saddles moment where he goes, no, don't shoot him. You'll only make him angry. I mean,
yeah,
that right there in a nutshell is Haku. And so, but the list has several moments where it goes on and on about Haku and his absolute badassery. But no matter how badass Haku is, he's not the only one.
Oh, Fickle Fanboy, are you telling me that a group of heavily muscled men aren't, there's more than one of them that are badass? Do tell.
I mean, I good point. But, jerk.
I'm sorry, you walked into that one, man.
But, I mean, what about this one about Buzz Sawyer? I think it's 255.
Ooh, 255. This is a good one.
Yeah, it's Buzz Sawyer was at some bar somewhere, imagine that, and apparently some drunk, I don't know whether it was a fan or just an asshole, was spouting his mouth off, talking about, probably using the F word. Fake. And Buzz Sawyer got so pissed off at it that he started just whooping the guy's ass, throwing him outside, and confronting him.
Yeah.
And apparently, the guy got so pissed off that he went to his truck or, his car, got his gun, walked right up to Buzz, put his gun in his mouth, and threatened to blow Buzz's brains, whatever was left of him, all over the pavement. Now, I don't know about you, but that would have made me shit myself right then and there. And
I would have been like Sid Vicious at WrestleMania, just shitting my pants in the ring with the Undertaker, for sure.
Rest in
feces. Rest in feces.
Where did I go with that one? Oh, anyway. but okay, so it would have made either one of us just absolutely crap ourselves.
There is not a single person listening here to this episode that if a gun was in their mouth wouldn't shit their pants.
And we've got a very far-reaching reach around, so to speak, if you will. I mean, we've got people from the Netherlands and Germany all over listening to this fucking thing. I mean, at least if my analytics aren't lying to me.
That's right. Shout out to the Netherlands. What's up, guys?
Shout out to the one Doomkoff in Germany.
So yeah, shout out to Germany. Guten Tag. Sorry about that whole Hitler thing. Wish that would have worked out better for you. And had him not exist.
Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe he wishes that...
Are you saying that you think Hitler's grandson listens to your podcast? Fucking, Jimmy Hitler is listening to the Fickle Fanboy, and he's just like, yeah, I like this podcast a lot. Oh, the Fickle Fanboy. Yeah, I like the Fickle Fanboy. Fräulein, bring me more schnitzel. I don't fucking know.
You know, to be fair, either one of us speaking German, at least angrily, just sounds like an outtake from Wolfenstein 3D.
Thank God you don't have the caller line open yet, because can you imagine if he called in? How awkward would that be? You're just sitting there, you're just like, oh, you're alive on the Fickle Fanboy, and you just hear like, Ich bin Gruppen, mein Führer! All you can do in that moment is just, all you can really do in that moment is just be like, okay, Danke Shane for the phone call. Moving on. just have like a fucking, nice 80s sitcom open where it's just like, it's the Nazi caller and he's calling again.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here.
Fuck you, that's my bit.
Not today, it's not, damn it. Ugh.
Can't steal something from my own season premiere.
A wise man once said, you steal from one, it's plagiarism. You steal from many, is research. And I'd just like to thank you and everybody else at the Church Absurd for being one of the many podcasts that I research regularly.
Well, you missed the ending part of that quote, and that is, if you steal from everybody, you're Amy Schumer.
Ooh, shots fired. Let's see here. Oh,
I saw her leather special on Netflix,
Uh-huh.
and all I can think of is that moment in Seinfeld where, Jerry pulls out George's wallet, and he's just like, you got more cow here than here. What are you talking about, Kramer? What's the deal with wrestling? They're going around as all predetermined.
What I wouldn't give for a gun right now.
The sports entertainment. Is it entertainment? Is it sports? Which one is it?
Well, I mean, at least you're doing Jerry and not a Kramer impression.
No, I think that would get us taken off the air.
Fuck it. But if someone tried
Were you about to say we would have had you tied down with a fork shoved up your ass?
If they were going to try and take us off the air, that's exactly where I was going.
Dude, it's my show that has the Seinfeld bass riff sound effect.
I had, and really, I'm glad you did that, because I could have taken it from the show, but I've got neither the time, patience, or the money to try and pay you anything for ripping off the show.
What the hell is copyright? What's so right about
it? But anyway.
What's the deal with copyright claims? What's going on, YouTube?
Okay, going back to the show.
Sorry for the diversion. If you weren't expecting the diversion, you don't listen to my podcast.
If they weren't expecting someone to just kind of go off the rails and start rambling, they don't listen to my podcast. So fuck
right,
them.
Exactly. I'm keeping you in line, man. That's my job.
I introduced you as the special guest referee, but really all you are is my anger management right now. I mean, and I've had anger management on the show before. I drove that bastard to drinking, but it's anyway.
All right, going back. So Buzz Sawyer, right? Motherfucker puts a gun in Buzz Sawyer's mouth.
Yes. And I can't even describe the fear that I would have in such a moment.
Oh, of course not.
But what does Buzz do? He just sits there and laughs at it, scaring the poor dude holding the gun. I can't believe I'm saying the poor dude holding the gun, but the dude that has his finger on the trigger is so unnerved by this that he drops the gun and runs off before Buzz Sawyer can whoop his ass. I mean, think about it. A man scares you so bad,
Buzz Sawyer,
you have a gun. You have a loaded weapon in your hand, in the dude's mouth, and he's scaring you so badly that rather than pulling the trigger,
you, who have all the power, drop the gun and then run off like a little bitch.
Buzz Sawyer is Tyler Durden. It is literally, because literally the scene where the fucking mob owner comes down to the basement of the bar, and you're like, oh, the sign on the front says Lou's Tavern. I'm fucking Lou. Who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And then, Tyler starts fucking taunting him. He's like, you should join our club. And then he just starts beating the fuck out of Tyler while Tyler laughs hysterically. That is literally, Buzz Sawyer should sue fucking David Fincher and Chuck Palahniuk for fucking likeness rights, because Buzz Sawyer is Tyler Durden. What the fuck?
I completely agree. I'm right there with you, dude. You have to admit to be so centered that you don't even show any kind of fear or anger in a moment such as that, and you just laugh it off. That right there is the machoest of macho moments that I could have ever even imagined.
Yeah. Speaking of macho, let's bring this up.
You're gonna go where I think you're gonna go.
Yeah, I gotta go here, man. I wanna preface this by saying sometimes your heroes turn out to be scumbags. We saw it happen with Hogan. We saw it happen with Jimmy Snuka. You know what I mean?
Hell, it happens so often, I made a damn segment on the show about it. Our heroes are assholes.
Exactly. The Macho Man, who everyone knows, everyone loves, apparently, according to item 68, had his way with Stephanie when she was about 14, back in 94 and 95, and Vince found out, and apparently that was the true ending for Macho Man in WWF.
Ooh, no.
Yeah.
The cream always rises into a 14-year-old pussy, yeah.
I was gonna say, that ain't cream, my friend. That ain't cream.
I'm gonna come all over Stiff's face, yeah. The most death-defying orgasm you've ever imagined, oh yeah. I'm gonna elbow drop that 14-year-old snatch, yeah.
Oh shit. I don't want to believe it, and yet I have absolutely no reason, because no one will talk about this one, as to why I shouldn't believe it.
I've been to the top of the mountain and it's a 14-year-old pussy, yeah.
That's not a mountain, that's more of a molehill.
Oh my.
Two of them to be exact.
Hey, Triple H, how's my penis taste, yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Stephanie went on to have a great career. According to item 92, she has a strap on and has used it on Steve Austin, Triple H, and Chyna.
I have to say, it's kind of scary that out of those three, the one that surprises me the most is Chyna.
Are you saying that Austin 316 means I just pegged my ass?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, man.
But, I mean, it's...
She stomped his mud hole.
And walked it dry.
and I guess Triple H just felt that it felt that damn good.
Ooh, yeah. Fuck Stephanie. Okay.
So she puts the strap on it, and fucking Triple H is just like,
I think that I just came.
Oh. I have to say, of all the theme songs that have come out in recent, 15, 20 years or so, Stone Cold, The Rock, and Triple H have the absolute best.
oh, yeah, for sure.
But, I mean, how can you not say that about Motorhead? I mean, fuck.
Oh, yeah, I mean, fucking, it's Lemmy, dude. Lemmy's God.
But, I mean, it's... this list is, without a doubt, the absolute shits.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And when it comes to the shits, you got to talk about Jim Cornette's favorite wrestler, Tim Horner.
All right, I'm listening.
He apparently had a career in Smoky Mountain that lasted a lot longer than it should have. And by a lot longer than it should have, it lasted more than about 7 days.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that right there is 6 days, 6.5, too long. But apparently on one of his days off, he goes into some local gas station.
Or convenience store, I think.
Yeah. And he's got the munchies for one reason or another.
Marijuana. It's marijuana.
I was just about to say, and if you've ever really paid enough attention, you can kind of,
Yeah, you can do the math on that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at any one of these dudes and look at their lifestyles and go,
I think I know why he was hungry.
But apparently he grabbed a few burritos or chimichangas
Yeah.
And the cashier made reference to how good these particular items were. And he went home, he got settled in, he heated a couple of those bastards up, and hours later, he was on the shitter praying for God to end him and his career, which I'm sure that everybody in Smoky Mountain did the same.
Yeah.
But he spent the night on the porcelain throne, just emptying his whole damn skeleton and all his internal organs from head to toe, right there in the bowl. And
fun times.
Yeah, I know, right? And the thought dawned on him, I guess, throughout the night.
Oh, shit. Does she like getting shit on?
And I don't know how you make the leap and bound from one to another.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But apparently...
I mean, that's a pretty fair assumption. You know what I mean?
Okay. Fair enough. But that's where his mind goes. So a couple days pass after he finally wakes up from passing out in the bathroom. And he goes back to the same gas station or convenience store. And he buys some more of these sons of bitches. And I'm sorry, if something did that to me, I would stay clear the fuck away from any item that made me spend more than an hour on the crapper.
Of course.
But what does he do? He figures it's a pretty good way to, open the door, as it were.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, it fucking works.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a primo pickup line right there.
Well, apparently me and you have completely different ideas about what works with women. But
you know what, man? The one thing that I've learned is that if a woman is not a good fit for you, she'll metaphorically shit on your heart. But if a woman is good for you, she'll physically shit on your heart.
Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right about women, I guess.
What can I say? I'm an expert. I'm like Hitch. I'm shitch.
You can say that again. Apparently, the story ends. He goes home, makes her dinner, or some such nonsense.
Let's be honest, man. He put him in the fucking microwave.
Yeah, he did. But he goes home. The date ends, and she invites him to come into the house or apartment or cardboard box. I don't know where the hell she was.
Porta potty.
Well, actually, I'm sure that he kind of wishes it had been, because
she evicted she fucking she evicted the Philly fan.
But apparently they go in, they start fooling around, they get right to it, and she ends up tying him up and shitting on him.
You know, that's love, man. That's love.
Well, that's something. Depending on who you listen to, much like his career, that whole damn date was the drizzling shits.
Hey, it's let me tell you, there was a mudslide on them Smoky Mountains.
So, I mean, it was a nice change of pace for him, but unfortunately, that's not the only item on the list when it comes to taking a big old hefty dump.
Yeah, there's a lot of fecal matter on this list for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
this is the real fickle fanboy shit list.
Exactly. Oh, actually, and you've made a good point.
Let's be honest, man. This is the greatest episode ever.
If for any other reason than you're on it. Because God help me,
what can I say?
They've definitely had enough of me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, aside from Tim and his just unmistakably shitty career.
His trip to the chocolate factory, if you will.
Yes.
He went full Augustus Gloop with it, Just dove into that chocolate river.
I mean, like you said, you have so many...
You should just change the name of this episode to The Fecal Fanboy.
You have so many...
You might get more listeners in Germany. You don't know.
Actually, if the German porn that I've watched is any indication, you're probably on with that one. I could see.
Essen mein Scheiße.
But, I mean, there's so many that have to do with a good old healthy dump. I mean, we didn't talk about this, but even when it comes to the hotel rooms, there was even that bit about, I think it was Butch Reed taking a shit in various places or pissing all over the rug. I was really surprised.
This isn't just a shit list. It's a piss. It's a shit. It's a blood list. There's everything here.
There's a little bit of everything for the family in this one.
There's plenty of cum from Steve Austin getting a strap on up his butt.
That gets me every fucking time. But speaking of the items on the list that have to do with some sort of bodily fluid, let's talk about this one that has to do with Jimmy Valiant and the Rock and Roll Express.
I'm listening.
Okay, apparently, and I can only assume it was after a match, because if it wasn't, the Rock and Roll didn't get their pay for the night. Because apparently they walked into the dressing room. I don't know if they all had a community dressing room or if everyone had their own little spot.
Not a liver spot, not a spot like your dog spot, but my spot.
They walked into a room that they knew that Jimmy Valiant was probably in. Who knows why they were looking for him.
Yeah, why would you ever be looking for Jimmy Valiant? Let's be honest.
Yeah. But, as it goes, they walk in looking for Jimmy for one reason or another, and they really probably wish they hadn't been looking for him, which anyone who's ever been looking for Jimmy Valiant could probably say that. But they walk in, and they see Jimmy under a table taking a glass-bottom boat ride.
The old plate job.
The list says it was a hooker, but I would just assume that it was probably a ring rat.
Oh, for sure. Most likely.
But the lady in question was standing on top of said table and defecating all over the son of a bitch, which that's gotta be a lot of Windex.
It's called a plate job, which I don't know about you, but like with the amount of cramps I get in my back and my back pain, I would be so paranoid about like just sitting up quickly and then bam, smashing my head into the glass table and then getting shit into an open wound. So
you're really kind of chancing it, chancing everything doing something like that.
Oh yeah, it's a real crapshoot.
Imagine, before we started to record, you were telling me about this wicked Charlie horse you got right before we.
Oh yeah. I got the Charlie horse from hell. I got a Charlie horse in my leg, and then I got a stomach cramp happen, and it was just like absolute hell. I audibly said "fuck" as loud as I could. Thank God my new neighbors haven't moved in yet.
But imagine if this poor gal had gotten a Charlie horse that badly in, say, her right calf.
Oh God!
Right as she's just trying to heave one out for Jimmy.
Well, yeah, and think about it, man. Like, what if she fell? Right?
Yeah.
Her ass gets cut up. His face gets cut up.
I mean, they would have had to write him off of TV for something.
She and like literally like there would just be a terrible infection. You know what I mean? He would have to get like serious antibiotic chemical control, and she would probably have to get like her ass cheek amputated. You know what I mean?
Yes.
She just has to walk around sitting at an angle for the rest of her life.
Speaking of serious antibiotics, what about this one about Carrie Von Erich putting the claw on a cat in Japan?
I mean, he was working as a chef at the time, so they asked him to do it. So
and that's why I was thinking antibiotics, because I mean, let's face it, it's Japan, and this cat, who knows where it came from?
Do they have Chinese restaurants in Japan?
I mean,
do they? Here's a real question: does Japan have like American restaurants, like literally like it's like, how like you'll always see like, oh, Li Hong's Chinese restaurant, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do they have like Jim Smith's American restaurant in Japan?
Probably.
I'd like to think so.
You would hope so. I mean,
I'm sorry that we're getting a massive diversion. I apologize.
But I'm just gonna throw this out there. Do you think that and this is something I've pondered way too long, for far too long, more than I ever care to admit. In Italy, do you think they've got Olive Garden?
I don't think so. I think if like an Olive Garden tried to move in on Italy, it would get bombed. I think so, because it's kind of like like Mike Birbiglia had that joke where he's just like, oh, my family's Italian, but we're like Olive Garden Italian.
Yeah.
Like where it's just like, yeah, it's an Italian restaurant, but like any real Italian chef would look at them and just be like, you fucking posers. You know what I mean? Let me tell you, man, like, like realistically, man, La Cosa Nostra is going to take you out. You know what I mean? You're going to have fucking Tony Soprano come on the night of the opening, and it's just going to be like, gabagool, and then boom.
But speaking of bombs, let's get back to this episode.
Oh yeah, this episode definitely a bomb. This is Hiroshima. That's how big of a bomb it is.
Wait, what? Anyway, let's see here. I'm trying to look at the ones that I had notes on. Okay, let's talk a little about one of my favorite eras in wrestling, and I'm sure it's yours, or at least one of yours. The Attitude Era, and some of the absolute craziness that we saw make it onto the screen in the late 90s.
Yeah.
The late 90s was such a time for just insanity, really. I mean, I don't know if there's any other word for it, considering some of the shit that we see now. I don't know if there's much that would have made it on screen then that would cut the mustard now.
Yeah.
They're too afraid of, getting a call from a sponsor and getting chewed out by someone that, has their money.
Well, not only that, but with the cult of outrage that's going on right now, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
Where, like, everybody's so obsessed with, like, getting offended. I mean, shit from the Attitude Era just would not play nowadays. They would, like, shit like Mae Young and Mark Henry in a sexual relationship, played up for, laughs and gross out humor, would probably be attacked for mocking an interracial relationship, and they'd probably say that it's, ableist, and they would say, like JR talking about puppies would be, fucking objectifying women, and, just like a lot of the shit where it's just like, I mean, fuck, I forget who was involved with it, but there was like one bit where like if a guy won the match, he got to spend a night with someone's wife.
Yeah.
And like that right there, like, like the feminist Tumblr bloggers would have just gone nuts with that. You know what I mean? Like, a woman is not a fucking prize, blah, 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 blah.
Matches like that are right up there with Viagra on a pole matches and, really anything on a pole matches. I mean, it's just, I don't even know what to do with those bitches. Usually...
Yeah, exactly. Why is it on a pole? Why can't it be a taco? And why has it got to be all phallic imagery? It's just a symbol of the patriarchy.
I'm thinking way too hard about that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's the kind of argument that would be brought up.
No,
you know what
absolutely.
I mean?
I get you completely. But considering all the shit that made it onto the TV in that time frame, imagine some of the shit that didn't make it.
Well, we mentioned the possible incest angle involving Stephanie McMahon and her father. I mean, shit like that. I mean, and it's really hard to gauge what was too crossing the line, because and not even just the Attitude Era, but also like the Ruthless Aggression Era.
Yes.
Because you look at the Ruthless Aggression Era, that's what caused us to have Katie Vick. That's what caused us to have fucking Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio fighting over the custody of Rey's kid.
That's what caused us to have John Cena's career, which is just an absolute crime in and of itself.
Watch it.
What?
I'm so fucking sick of people attacking Cena.
Okay, go on.
John Cena is literally, he's not fucking terrible. People hate him because of his fucking image. I get that. But to say that his career is not well done is just wrong. Okay. He carried the company when no one else would. Okay. And not to mention that you look at like the matches even 3 years ago, like his matches, the matches he had with AJ Styles were fucking incredible. He's always working on, extending his form, his abilities, everything like that. Not to mention being such, he literally runs with the hate. You know what I mean? Like the fact that he sings along when the crowd's going, John Cena sucks. Like Hordano brought this up during his lament about John Cena and like the WWE universe. Like the dude literally, like, he's a polarizing character. I get that. But at the same time, to shit talk him like that is a little unfair, because without him, man, like literally without John Cena being John Cena, that feud that he had with CM Punk would have meant nothing.
Yes. Agreed.
You know what I mean? Because literally CM Punk said it perfectly in that promo where they were signing the contracts when he said, you're no longer the underdog. You've become a dynasty. You are the New York Yankees. You know what I mean? And that worked perfectly, and it fucking skyrocketed Punk. So, like, to sit there and say that John Cena, oh, he sucks, blah, 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 blah. He doesn't suck. He doesn't. He's extremely talented in the ring. He's always good on the mic. Like, regardless of he has to work with what the shitty writers of WWE give him. But at the same time, the dude doesn't fucking suck. Not to mention, he's charismatic as fuck, and it's genuine charisma. It's not fucking artificial charisma. Hordano and I were talking about this on my after service show. When I think of artificial charisma, I think of Buff Bagwell. You know what I mean? The only reason Buff Bagwell is viewed as charismatic is because the commentators are telling you he's charismatic. John Cena picks up a mic, that's charisma, man. So right there, I will say flat out, John Cena's career fucking saved the WWE after the terrible things that happened, like Chris Benoit, fucking Eddie Guerrero, shit like that.
Fair enough. I truly feel the same way about Roman Reigns. I just don't get why he gets so much hate. Although, now that he's been sidelined with leukemia, when he comes back, he's going to be the babyface of all babyfaces. I mean, it's going to be massive. We'll just put one in here. If you disagree, you can always send your hate mail to...
It's 123 in the words of the immortal Jim Cornette. Thank you, fuck you, bye. At gmail.com. Or at fatlowsradio@gmail.com.
Although if you want to send love notes, on the other hand, you can always send them to theficklefanboy@gmail.com. But, it is just kind of interesting to think about all the different things that made it onto TV during the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era. I'm getting tongue-tied. Hold on, let me get some water.
Water my ass. It's fire water.
How dry.
Yeah, you're busted, motherfucker. Pretty soon, security's gonna have to wake you up, and you'll piss on yourself and call them cocksuckers.
Change my name to Jake the...
Or Arn Anderson.
Well, there's so many ways that I could go with that. But, to think about the different things that made it in either era, it's just insane.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also insane, though, to think about the shit that didn't make it onto the TVs.
Of course.
Because...
Oh, yeah. Well... I'll put it to you this way. Shout out to Jeremy Shear, who was on the last episode of Fatitude Era. When they were talking about bringing ECW back, they were pitching it being a web show. So that way they could do the TVMA without having to worry about, sponsors and censors and the FCC and shit.
Uh-huh.
And Shear put it the best way, which is if ECW would have been allowed, like the remake of ECW, like if Vince was able to control it, and have it be TVMA, the first thing they would have had was whipping Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, I really want to dispute that, but I just can't. I really fucking can't. And that's...
Yeah. And and that's the thing. Like, you look at it this way. Vince doesn't care about racist shit. That's why Hulk Hogan was allowed back.
That's why Hogan was allowed back. That's why... let's face it, he doesn't care, not just about racist shit, although that goes absolutely triple for that. However, I'm sorry, but in my opinion, he just doesn't care anymore about anything other than the TV product when a few dollar signs are connected to it. You put enough money on the table.
That's all it is.
And
it's
he'll
just
consider
money.
anything. I mean, the whole thing with Saudi Arabia is proof positive of that shit.
Exactly. And plus, Vince McMahon is a very... There's documented stories from Carlito about Vince coming up to him backstage talking about his character and asking him to, quote unquote, spick it up for the cameras. So...
Oh, God.
So, I mean, realistically, like...
Oh.
When it comes to Vince McMahon, there's a reason why, the WWE Championship has yet to be held by a black superstar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the closest we're going to get is The Rock.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, it's because he's not... It's what people were saying about Obama. The reason that, people say, oh, well, the reason he was able to be president was because he's not fully black.
And it both dumbfounds me and saddens me all at one time.
Mm-hmm.
That we are... Not only would that happen in the company or, wrestling as a whole,
yeah,
but although it shouldn't surprise me too much considering some of the other racist stories I've heard that come out of various promotions, but I will say that it saddens me to an extremely insane amount the fact that we're there as a country. That we're still there as a country.
Yeah, for sure.
But, let's step away from the seriousness of that and lighten things up a little bit, because you were talking about Vinnie Mac, and we were talking about just exactly how far he'll go if the right amount of money is involved.
Do tell, mon frere.
And in the Attitude Era, he actually went up to Goldust and breached the idea, and I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe that this was actually something that was confirmed. Someone prove me wrong. I don't want to accuse anybody where I shouldn't, but apparently Vince went up to Goldust and breached the idea of possibly getting a boob job.
Dustin Runnels was at that point in his life where he was, taking pills. So I think he would have gone for it.
The story that I've heard is he at least considered the option.
I wouldn't doubt it. You know what I mean? As someone who is a recovering painkiller addict, you lose your ability to make good decisions when you're fucked up on pills.
Oh yeah, when you're fucked up on just about anything, but yeah, pills, yeah.
But I'm speaking because he's a recovering pill addict. I'm a recovering pill addict, and I understand. You think of doing some dumb shit, and you're not in your right mind, so you actually consider doing dumb shit. So it makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
Yes, and it also makes sense considering what we know of just how far the company was willing to go back then. How far Vince McMahon's willing to go in the name of the almighty dollar. And, it also helps explain the fact that there's another story out there that made the list about the fact that supposedly Vince once thought about, and I don't know exactly who brought this up or if it was just his brainchild, but he once considered putting out a collection of cock rings.
Well, I mean, they say you gotta, when you're in WWE, you gotta try to grab that brass ring, so.
Yeah, although, I mean, if you think about it, the Smoking Skull belt was kind of a brass colored, if I remember right.
More like smoking ball belt, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, man. But I want to know who brought this up to Vince in such a way that he actually thought twice about it. Or
Pat Patterson.
Oh, Pat. But, or if it was really his brainchild, what was he doing that all of a sudden he just, a light bulb went off and went, aha, cock rings. I like it. I don't, there's some kind of disconnect there that I'm just like, I don't get it. Why would he think that that's a good idea?
If I had to guess, I think it was probably right after he was revealed as the head of the corporate ministry. It's me, Austin. What do you think about cock rings?
It was me all along.
Cock ring on your dong, Austin. Oh, man.
Cock ring on your dong. Oh, God, I want that on a shirt.
I think that is a good place to end it.
Oh, I do too. Although, like I say, I don't know if I want it on a mug, on a shirt. I want a picture of Vince in that goddamn robe, holding just this little brass ring. And I want the speech bubble to say, "Cock ring on your dong, Austin."
Can you name the episode that? Just, what was this, season 4?
Yes. Season 4,
episode 1, cock ring on your dong, Austin.
Which, you mentioned season 4, episode 1. If anyone's still listening to this by this point, and if you're a repeat offender, thank you. Thank you for coming back.
Yes.
Time and time again for my constant craziness.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Rick. Oh, God.
No, in all honesty, we had one more thing we wanted to cover, but I think we should take it and, do a Costanza exit and end on the high note.
Yes, absolutely. Really, all I'll say right now, as far as that goes, though, is fuck Dynamite Kid. I mean,
we'll cover that we'll cover that in the special Back to the List episode.
Yes, if you want more of this, you gotta either find me on Twitter at the Fickle Fanboy RPM, or where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at RevJess_FL Radio. You can find the official network Twitter at Fat Lulz Radio. You can find my podcast Twitter at The Church Absurd. We're also on Facebook and everything like that. Just search us, you'll find us.
You can find the Fickle Fanboy Facebook page as well, and you can find me on Instagram as well, at Fickle Fanboy Podcast. I think you're on Instagram as well, if I remember right.
I am on Instagram. Let me figure out what the fuck my username is. It's the same thing, RevJess_FatLolsRadio. But I don't really update Instagram that much, but if you want to see dumb shit on there, by all means. I tend to do a lot of hashtag current moods with random pics I find from 4chan. But I do want to preface this. I want to say, as if you guys like what you hear as far as the conversations between RPM, and you guys want me back on the show, by all means, tell RPM. I'm more than happy to come back. This was a great time, and not to mention that RPM and I would be having conversations like this regardless of if the mics were on. So, I mean, if the mics are on, that's just, it doesn't matter to me. But I do want to, I recommend, if you like dark humor, checking out my podcast that RPM mentioned, The Church Absurd. It is basically a not safe for work or the easily offended comedy podcast preaching the gospel of absurdity. We cover cryptids, conspiracy theories, ghosts, all types of shit that get the mind moving, in addition to fucked up stuff from the internet, cringy stuff. We just debuted a new segment in the first episode of our second season called This Week in Fucked Up Porn that we're really excited about. And we got other stuff in the works. Not to mention that everything we're doing here at Fat Lulz Radio we're really proud of. We're still working on the League of Infuriated Nerds project. And not to mention that RPM and I have a project in the works as far as a movie podcast called Acclaim and Shame, where we put the reviews of certain movies on the line. We cover one movie that is critically acclaimed and one that is critically reviled. And we search for the answer to the question, are the critics right or are they full of themselves? So be on the lookout for that. We're going to get started on that pretty soon. So get excited, folks. We got a lot of shit coming.
Damn right. And, we're going to be kind of like that movie franchise.
We're going to be the Fat and the Furious is what we're going to be.
I'm already halfway there. And, I'll leave the debate up for which half, but, is
it because you have customized wheels on your...
Well, no, I was going to just, I was alluding to the fact that I'm either fat or furious, or both. I mean, let's be honest. But
it's not the fat or the furious, it's the fat and the furious.
Oh, yeah, true. Good point. But you can also send us snail mail, fan mail, or stalker mail if you're Sam from the Church Absurd.
Yeah, if you want to send us Jake the Snake Roberts' pink dildo, by all means, send it to P.O. Box 1235, Campton, Kentucky 41301. That P.O. Box is checked once a month, so if you're in Kentucky, don't try to meet me there. You won't see me. It's we take any type of physical mail. If it is addressed to the Fickle Fanboy, rest assured he will get it. If it's addressed just to Fat Lulz Radio, I will get it, but it will be opened and viewed with gloves for sure, just to be safe. So, yeah.
You might want to, invest in a good hefty pair of gloves, especially after this episode.
Hefty pair of gloves, a gas mask. Yeah.
Some of those tongs that they tend to use to open.
I might as well just get me a bomb disposal robot.
And we mentioned the stalker mail. How's Sam doing with that anyway?
He's having trouble sleeping for sure. But we just got back from hell, according to the Church Absurd. So basically, we're just enjoying our time back on Earth. And now that I am back to guest hosting, I'm pretty happy about it. And in all honesty, I can't thank you enough for having me on. I think this was a lot of fun, man. I had a great time doing this.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. I do want to ask you. I listened to the season opener, and who would you say is the most interesting or surprising person, I guess, that you saw while?
We were down there for about a month, which on Earth time it's a month, but in Hell time it's 10 years. So. For the longest time...
Sounds like marriage.
Yeah, for the longest time, we were just trying to get the equipment so we could set up our studio in Hell. So now we have 2 studios, so I'm pretty happy about that. But the one interesting thing I saw was that The guy who was running the audio equipment store, you wouldn't believe who it was because it was, they were selling, video cameras and stuff and production stuff as well, but it was Vincent McMahon Sr.
Oh, oh, I wonder how he's doing.
Not well. He's in hell.
Well, I mean, to be fair, anyone who watches the current product is too, so.
And you know what? It's great because Vincent Kennedy McMahon already has his spot all saved up down there. And it specifically said, reserved for Vincent McMahon for the possible incest angle. So, hey, he's got something to look forward to.
Well, hopefully soon.
And you know what it is? You know what he has to look forward to down there?
What's that?
A cock ring on your dong, Austin.
I walked right into that son of a bitch and did it happily, to be honest. But, as far as today goes, again, we'll be back, and I'm sure if he'll have me, or if I'll have him, which I'd do it gladly, we might have Jess on sporadically through the season, just when it works out, if he's bored or drunk enough. And
yeah, for sure.
We'll have.
I'm absolutely shit-faced right now.
But for now, we're out of here, folks. So remember,
this has been a Fat Lowell's Radio production. To hear more shows like this, go to soundcloud.com/FatLowellsRadio.
And for now, we'll be seeing
you.